Hello and welcome back to the Awakening Philosophy Podcast. My name is Jed and we are reading Is It All Relative? Asking the question, does truth exist? And therefore, sneeze. 2 sneezes. Does truth exist? Or is everything relative to personal opinions and perspective? In which case, if truth doesn't exist, then philosophy is a waste of time. Because philosophy is the pursuit of truth through the love of, wisdom, but essentially the love of understanding. Philodianoia, we call it now. And what's going on in the top corner of my image? Okay. He's gone. So, is philosophy a waste of time? Is there no truth? Is everything just a matter of personal opinions and belief? And is the whole aim in life to give the appearance of one who knows something and trick people into believing you? And of course, yesterday, the example was brought up. What if a scammer or an actor acts like a politician and gets elected president? Then that actor is now president. So there's no real difference than someone who gives the appearance and the real thing. And of course, we can see that not just for Mr. Trump, but everybody that he surrounds himself with. Dr. Oz, RFK Jr. These people pretend to be doctors on TV or on Fox News, and now they are in charge of the health and well-being of millions, hundreds of millions of people. Or billions, if they are making decisions that will affect the lives and the deaths because they like to murder people that they don't like or they want to steal from, of billions of people. Is that good? Is that significant? Is that the result of this belief that there is essentially no truth about what is good, what is real, what is true, what we should harmonize our individual souls and society around? Because everything is just a matter of belief and opinion, and hey, if you can get voted in, you're just as much of a politician as everyone else. Is that why most of the people in politics pretend to be regular working people? They put on a southern accent and they say things like, I'm just a regular old country folk. And they use, I can't do those accents, but they use catchphrases that they know that the people in their constituents like. Hey, and they're completely free from scrutiny because they can just gerrymander it so they will never ever be voted out, so they can do whatever they like at the expense of the benefit and well-being of everyone they're supposed to be caring about, while giving the appearance of a politician, completely without repercussions. Surely that doesn't cause any problems. That was the example given last time. Now we were left with a question. The main character in this book, Joseph, was asked, what has he been going through? Here with, maybe my volume's a bit loud. Turn it down a little bit. What has he been going through here with we philosophers? And he decided to answer that question by running somebody else through a series of questions exploring a key belief, a central belief that his friend Harry has, and Joseph may or may not have had himself. That is, everything is everything relative to personal opinions and perspective. a series of questions, judging the answers, responding to the answers, using certain keywords in a certain structure. And of course, as we are learning to read in a new kind of way, we are looking to see if we can recognize that structure or learn to think in a similar way to bring our mind to match the level of mind of the character and, of course, the author. And he said, hang on a second, says Joseph. Remember the challenge that was given to us by the friend of the owner of this Greek Corner Cafe? That was, we won't be able to understand ourselves or each other unless we, let go of? Unless we give up or see through belief. Or a key belief that blocks understanding. Why is that? Why would he say that? It implies, doesn't it, that belief functions in opposition to understanding key important things. Is that weird to hear in a world where we are told, hey, all beliefs are equal and people's personal beliefs surely don't do any harm? You'd have to ignore all those examples we gave a few minutes ago, but there you go. People say that. Why? Why do we have to give up belief to participate in understanding? What's the difference between the two? And if we are engaged in understanding the nature of belief, can belief understand understanding? Or, if not, is one higher than the other? You can't understand understanding through belief, but you can understand belief through understanding. Does that make one better? If one is better, why does belief have to block the higher in order to exist? Could that be why you have to let go of, give up belief in order to participate in understanding? How do they function differently? How is Harry functioning differently? What key words is he pointing to? Personal language, as opposed to Joseph, who's using universal language, transpersonal? What kind of structure is behind their thinking? Does Harry get confused and frustrated when having to make conclusions through understanding and see new things or grow or develop or change? When he gets frustrated, how does the structure of his thinking change? Does he go back to repeating beliefs and catchphrases that are part of his belief? Whereas, does Harry function in that way? Does Harry just repeat the same catchphrases? Does Joseph just repeat the same catchphrases? Hello, welcome sus, welcome.
I have a sickness for the thickness.
I hope you have a sickness for the thickness today. I'm great.
Can I do my plugs now? I'm trying to do comedy career.
Is there anything that you would like to plug? Because it's time for plugs, apparently. So what structure does Joseph use when he explores ideas? Does he just repeat things as if they're true and then get on the defensive? What we might call debate?
Perverts. Let's be honest, perverts.
Debate pervert?
I'm a debate pervert.
And I have an axiomatic
Of the Bible.
There you go. Or does he begin with an opening question and see how the person he's talking to responds? If they're on board, does he go to the next step in exploring the idea? And if they're not, does he pause and explore the idea he's stuck on until we could get to an agreement? I don't know, sitting with myself and trying to work through emotions. Oh, working through emotions. Well, to your emotions we say,
That one's perfect and exactly the case.
all your emotions are perfect and exactly the case. Maybe. I don't know. That's what the sound drop says. I hope you have fun with it. Now, we've also been exploring that structure of thought behind someone who represents understanding, different from someone who thinks through belief. That was a bit weird. Let's do that transition again. What's that little weird little maneuver thing that happens? Okay. So now we're in the cafe. You can hear the people talking, and you don't want to see the people yet, so you can hide. No, we're in the wrong one. We have to be in this one. So we saw that what we call the dialectic, by the way, the opposite of belief. We had Harry's idea that we were exploring. There is no truth, which of course has implications. Those who are the biggest scammers are just as legitimate as people who actually know things. If you can pretend to be a knower, if you're an actor, then you're just as much of a president as someone else who actually has the knowledge that is required. There's also no philosophy. If philosophy is the pursuit of truth and the method of reaching truth, about self, about reality, about spirituality, about education, about evolution, then no need for philosophy. Because there's no truth. Because everything is a matter of personal opinion. If it appears true or it seems true to you, then that's your truth. And that's just as legitimate, just as true as anybody else's personal opinions or beliefs. Truth, whatever appears true is true to whomever it appears so. It's just a matter of your opinions or perspective. Have you seen those memes where there's one person looking at a 6 drawn on the ground, and to him it looks like a 9? Another person looking at it from another angle, and to him it looks like a 6. And these memes are used to express the idea of there's no actual number. Whatever it appears is just as true to whoever it appears to be so. Or however you say that. There is no truth, and all opinions are equally true. They're all equally legitimate. Now, to explore that, we had to use some sort of analogy or reflection. And what Harry used was, by the way, are there groups? So we're taking the idea of opinions and see how they function. Because if you are not okay with, if you don't understand what opinions are by, this is the dialectic, the structure, by definition, if you don't realize what opinions are and you think they are truth, then you have to look at how it functions. How do opinions function? Hey, do groups require advice? Do they have advisors? Even if the leader doesn't talk to anyone else, he's listening to his own advice. So we go from opinions in relation to themselves, what is opinion, to how do opinions function to others? And the other in question here are groups or leadership. So we're seeing how we can use this dialectic to reason through ideas. Hey, do groups require advice? Is all advice equal? Or do leaders recognize that within their group there are some people who are dummies, who are
He's so far up his own ass.
so far up their own ass, who are...
Jesus Christ, Emma.
Okay, you mad at Emma there.
That's insane. Like, you need help. There's no help, actually. You need a straitjacket.
People who need a straitjacket. So we're using that demonstration and we're dividing it into its divisions. So the functioning of opinions through advice, so that's the functioning, so we call that advice. We can divide it up. That's how we explore that functioning. Are there some advice from cool people? Some advice from smart people? Some advice from dum-dums who need to be in a straitjacket? And of course, from there, we should go to a conclusion. Therefore, what can you conclude? If people don't take advice from the dumbest people in their groups, then not all opinions are equal, are they? Some advice is bad, and of course, if advice is the demonstration of opinions, we can come to the conclusion. So remember, the conclusion has two steps. A synthesis. The synthesis would be opinions are different. Some good, some bad, and some in between. And then we take that synthesis and then we do the analysis step. So the synthesis comes to a conclusion here that we take back to that original subject. So other back to self. Therefore, the definition of opinion is they're not all equal. Some are stupid. Some are wrong. Right? And therefore, both people should be in agreement. Now, we're also seeing that this is just truth. The dialectic is just the method that human beings or any intelligent being uses to explore and reach truth. But remember, truth ain't enough. We also have to acknowledge humanness. So we have to be on lookout for all of your own personal beliefs, how your own definition, your own personal beliefs, I believe this or that, how they function. If the functioning or demonstration of understanding is this dialectic, how beliefs function is interpretation. To project things that aren't there from your beliefs. Have you heard the word projection? Right? Groups that are based in belief, it's all projection. Every accusation is a confession, you might hear. They project what isn't there from their own beliefs, or they are blocked from seeing what is. That's the functioning of belief. The next stage, how does that functioning work in different divisions? Well, famously, the conservatives and the clergy who say all gay people are bad, and it turns out that they are gay and are projecting their own inadequacies or their own confusion. Racist people, they see a image that reflects their racist beliefs and they project all of their racist shit onto them. Sexism, another division. But what we're seeing here is the most important division is how it functions, how this interpretation or projection and blocks function in relation to understanding. If you don't have to believe somebody else when you understand, there is a kind of self-defense mechanism of belief. So it's functioning in the division of reasoning through ideas will be to try and sabotage this process. No dialectic. And so we are seeing Harry engaged in all of these little tricks, tangents, gossip, personal attacks, distractions, all of these divisions of sabotage to the activity of understanding. Could that be why the mysterious person at the beginning of the book said, in order to understand yourself, understand each other, and participate with your friends in a more meaningful way than just silly nonsense, you need a discipline within your thinking, and you need to give up or at least see through beliefs that you carry. Why do we have to give up beliefs to participate more meaningfully with our friends? Could it be for this reason? It functions to sabotage the logos, or the steps of reasoning that we follow within the dialectic to reach truth. And meaning, meaningful truth. Truth about ourselves, truth about our friends, truth about our problems. truth about the beliefs that we carry that block us from doing meaningful things and understanding. So have we got enough yet for you two? Well, of course, the next step would be, hey, don't just believe me when you hear me say it. Can you turn it into your own understanding? Can you practice these 4 categories of understanding to understand understanding, to understand belief, to understand opinions? Now, back to the idea. If opinions function through advice, and there are different divisions of advice, group leaders don't look to the dumbest people in their group to get advice from how to run things. We should come to a conclusion, synthesize these divisions into a single idea. Oh, not all advice is equal, that we take back to the self, take back to our definition. Therefore, if not all advice is equal, not all opinions are equal. So that could have been what had happened. But as we are seeing, the humanness of Harry, he still has his own belief that's functioning to block him from this dialectic. From being able to see, conclude, and admit in words the conclusion. So the next thing that Joseph did was go, okay, you're not able to judge whether all advice is equal, but let's take another step. So advice is about the benefit. Like, do some groups get benefit from good or bad advice? And by benefit, I mean a certain excellence within the group's functioning. So this is important to define what benefit he's talking about, because you could say, well, it benefits a Nazi to kill all of the non-Nazis or whatever. But we're talking about an excellence within the functioning of the group. So whatever group you're talking about, that's going to be the same. We're using universal standards. Whether you're a Nazi group or a socialist group, well, it's funny. The Nazis call themselves socialist because they have to lie. Again, because they're appealing to belief and not understanding, you can do fascist shit and just stick the word socialist in your name and people will believe you if they don't have understanding, because they're not functioning in a socialist way. They specifically lied to do that. And it works. There are some people who are bound by belief of conservatives or religious authorities or capitalists who say, oh, socialism bad because the Nazis used that word. And the Oracle addresses this point really well. Here we go.
Well, what about the Nationalist Socialist Party of Germany? You know what else? Mario Party. Interesting. There are 2 words in there, and I only react to shapes and colors, so it really makes you think, doesn't it? That's right. You played Mario Party ever in your life, you are a fucking Nazi. Interesting how epically owned you've just been.
You've been epically owned. So the idea of people who relate to shapes and colors or images from their own beliefs and not understanding might see the image of, oh, the word socialist isn't being used in the name. And I only react to images based on my beliefs. So therefore, socialism is bad because Nazis, when in fact Nazis are the exact opposite of socialism. And you could say the same thing about, you know what else has the word, the Socialist Party words in it? Mario Party. So if you play Mario Party because the word is the same, ignoring any of the structure and elements of understanding, so not looking at how you, at the actual definition, not looking at how it functions, not looking at how that function relates or functions in different areas, and not coming to any sort of conclusion, you can say, well, if you do, because the word party is in Mario Party and the National Socialist Party of Germany, then you are a Nazi if you play Mario Party, and you've been epically owned. So that's a that's a fun use of the dialectic to explore an idea and recognize the difference between understanding and belief, which is what we're doing here. Right, Oracle?
Now we're getting into extreme Jordan Peterson levels of whimsy.
Yes, that's right. So we can have some whimsy with the dialectic.
I'm cute. Like, it's cutie
Am I?
pie.
Funny and cool? Hey, leave some for the rest of us, man.
I will not. Who's that guy? Why is he on the screen? He should be away. God damn it. Hang on. This guy. Why is it doing a little hitch with my zoom? I zoom in fine, and when I zoom out, oh, it's fine. Sometimes it does a little hitch. Anyway. So. So by looking at the functioning of opinions through advice, that wasn't enough. We look at the consequences or division or even functioning of advice. Hey, is there a result of advice giving rise to groups functioning in a good or bad way? Do some groups function in a terrible way? Can you see that functioning? And of course, if he was able to say, yeah, I recognize some groups, we mentioned MAGA a few moments ago. They're a fantastic personification of this. If some groups function in a bad way, then we can say the advice that gave rise to that functioning is bad. Therefore, the opinions that gave rise to the advice was bad. Therefore, not all opinions are equal. There is some better standard of truth. And therefore, we've saved philosophy. Hooray! We've saved the idea of truth and seen the significance of understanding. But he didn't like that. And he said, well, if you believe your group is functioning well, it's positive thinking, right? Positive thinking. So if they didn't function well, it's because they didn't believe hard enough. They didn't pray hard enough, or whatever. Hope and change, thoughts and prayers. And that's a nice way because politicians, yes, even people who call themselves Democrats, the establishment Democrats, are not really progressives because progressive is following the logos. So like Barack Obama used the words hope and change. Notice, belief. No clearly defined steps of understanding that are true, rational, and verifiable. No standards, just hope. And what happened? He did more fascism, capitalism, murder, put children in cages, murdered people with drones. Lots of horrific, terrible shit. So hope and change politicians might use, whereas the clergy... Notice, Harry said, well, there might be truth for science and math, but in terms of ethics and morality, or politicians functioning in the world ethically, and morality for your own soul, so politics and religion are two professions where we don't demand understanding like we do mechanics or surgeons or pilots or mathematicians. They can just declare that they are qualified because of a personal belief. So when there's a problem that needs to be solved and people are dying, like in mass shootings every day at school in America, for example, just an example, the religious people will say thoughts and prayers. Prayers do nothing, just believe harder. And politicians will say, just hope and change. If we hope things will change and completely sacrifice mind for belief, then maybe magically children will stop being shot at school every day. And of course, we see that that doesn't work. So normally the appeal to, there's a very common belief that everything is just personal opinion and perspective. When pushed, when asked to reflect, hey, when it's your car that needs to be fixed, when you're flying in the plane, do you demand the pilot has understanding? Or do you want some rich guy who's confident after he's done a line of coke to land the plane because he really believes he can? Of course you won't. But the thing that people point to are things where you can't see the effect straight away. Religion. Unless you're a fundamentalist blowing someone up in a suicide bomb or something like that, it's hard to see the effects of religious belief over time on children, taught that they are sinners, taught that if they don't obey their priest, they go to hell forever, taught that if they ask questions, they're being a heretic or a heathen or a goyim or an infidel. They don't see the effects of politicians who exploit religion, be it Netanyahu exploiting the Jewish religion or Trump exploiting the Christian religion, whatever. Getting them to do genocide. Literally, as far as horrific things you can do, it's pretty much the top of the list. Being done by religious people who aren't fundamentalists. So surely it's okay, but they are being exploited through their belief-based functioning to do the most horrific things or support the most horrific things or not to stand up against the most horrific things. By being one step removed from an immediate suicide bombing, it's hard for people to see sometimes when they function through beliefs themselves, and that's what we're doing here. Joseph is encouraging Harry to reflect on his beliefs and push the implications. If there is no truth, what's the implications? If all opinions are the same, what's the implications on advice? And if groups take advice, what's the implications on their functioning? Requires some thought, which is the different from hopes or prayers, because hopes and prayers is this thing I want done, do it in one step. I want it to be so. Positive thinking, hope and change, thoughts and prayers, and it will be so. One step. And for some people who are not familiar with the dialectic or steps in reasoning, taking more than one step can be confusing and infuriating even to them. They'll get frustrated and they'll lash out. And that's what we're seeing in Harry. Now, Harry is someone who is familiar with some sort of philosophy and has had some sort of conversation, so at every step of the way, he does lash out a little bit, but at least he stays in the conversation. This applies for everyone. Anyone who says beliefs are good, or it's all relative to beliefs, there is no truth, and surely we shouldn't demand truth. One step, what about your doctor? Okay. But not politicians and religion. They're fine. Except for the one step where it's a religious person blowing themselves up, or a MAGA person shooting whoever Trump told him was his villain, a trans person or a Democratic leader or whatever. What about two steps? What about over time? How a religious person teaches her daughter that she's less than a man because the Bible says so, that she can be treated like cattle because her religion says so, that she can't drive a car or can't show her face because religion says so, that she must obey authority figures, otherwise she goes to hell. What about that? What about one more step? She'll then vote for MAGA or vote for Netanyahu. But surely that's okay, because everyone has a different political opinion. What about the next step? Who then does a genocide? If there is any such thing as bad, torturing and starving to death innocent children, what about that? They're just very small steps of reasoning. But it's so unfamiliar to people in our world that it can be difficult for people to take more than one step. And at each point, their personal beliefs function to try and sabotage that. If I think about this, my belief might be in question. And if my whole identity, my whole image, what I think my survival is based on is being a Christian, is being a Smith or an Anderson within the belief of the family, being a MAGA, if that's my identity, then at every step of this use of ousia, self-reflection on an idea, plus logos with reason and language, the two things that make us more evolved than monkeys and cabbages and caterpillars. We can self-reflect on an idea with language. It's simply these two cognitive abilities that we have which elevates us as our highest functioning as Homo sapiens, man the thinker, that the dialectic makes use of. So we're doing two things. We're learning to follow our intended function or meaning of life, to reason through more than one step to get to a conclusion that might challenge the images and shapes and colors of our beliefs, as well as recognizing the human difficulty of going through that. If it was just a matter of truth, we would all be living in a fantastic utopia, taking care of each other, sharing resources and technology to meet all human needs efficiently, renewably, sustainably, completely freeing everyone from work, war, slavery, capitalism, exploitation, no longer having to sacrifice our life for survival, freeing us to master our intended functioning in a fun and friendly way, living in a utopia. Because all this is from Socrates, who we killed as a race instead of listening to. So it's not a matter of truth, it's also recognizing the humanness, which is a human loyalty to fundamental beliefs that we carry and don't even know we carry, that function to oppose the functioning of understanding. Debate, which is to defend your own beliefs that you are so certain about, functions in opposition to the dialectic.
Debate, weirdo.
So the cause of all human suffering, misery, and injustice seems to be a loyalty to belief that we don't even know we have most of the time, that functions in opposition to understanding, that prevents us from thinking more than one step, allowing us to be exploited by the worst members of our race, the genociders, the capitalists, the religious officials, and the conservative politicians. The absolute worst. And we know this. We have the Epstein files, whatever we have released. Billionaires murder people for fun and profit. It's not a contentious issue. The question is, why do we allow that? Why do we allow the worst of our species to rule all of us at the expense of everything good? And equally so within our soul. Why do we allow our own personal false beliefs to govern our entire soul, our functioning, how we relate to others, how we relate to our loved ones, how we live our lives? when it's the worst of us, and it opposes the best of us, understanding, which is making use of the best, our ousia and logos, our ability for reflection and our ability to do that reflection with words. So we're seeing both as we explore this idea. The steps of truth, of understanding, and the functioning of belief, the human problem, the loyalty to belief that will try and interfere with every step. So the art of the dialectic, the human art that we're here to master, for truth, for understanding, for benefit, is both. It's both understanding and how we share that, our bedside manner or our charm or our grace. How do we facilitate that sharing of understanding to humans who oppose it? All right. So, Harry is opposing this idea of groups functioning better or worse and says it's just hope and change. Thoughts and prayers, which are two good catchphrases that highlights that issue that we still allow belief and ignorance and sadism to exist by allowing beliefs to rule us within the realm of religion or politics. That's why we say, no talking about religion or politics at the dinner table. Or no talk about religion or politics in my stream. I want a happy, safe stream. Why? These are the most important things. These are the things we have to address because these affect us every day and kill billions of people. Or enslave them, or torture them to death, or bomb their parents. The issue is, when people talk about them, they're not really exploring the ideas through understanding. They are being like Harry, declaring their beliefs are true, and anyone who wants to engage in step-by-step reasoned understanding, first of all, had to have learnt that skill and practiced it, but also need to be listened to. And it's these believers that are the believers, the Nazis, the fascists, the religious, go after the capitalists, go after the best of our species first. This is, what's that movie? Idiocracy. When Christianity was began in 529 AD, Emperor Fuckface McGee, Emperor Justinian, who instituted Christianity, killed the philosophers, shut down the academy, burnt the libraries, and that began a period where everything went to shit because he was trying to sacrifice understanding for belief because he knew he can manipulate through beliefs by putting him as the top Jesus guy. I am Pope of religion. And Paul did the same thing. Modern Christians follow Paul, who tried to undermine everything Jesus said about understanding and institute personal beliefs instead. The Dark Ages happened. So, a period of history where everything was terrible and everyone died almost because we allowed belief to rule, which functions fascistically, tyrannically, violently against the best of us. So, that could be a thing. Hey, by the way, do some groups like Emperor Justinian and the Christian Church in the Dark Ages function in a bad way? And Harry's answer was, well, no. It's just a matter of belief. If you believe hard enough, then you're functioning in a good way. And so one more step, making it easy to see, do some groups not survive? So this idea that if you believe you're doing well, it's all a matter of personal thinking. So there is no real bad advice because all groups functioning good. You can't say that when we know that some groups don't survive. Some groups go under. Now the implication is humanity goes under if we listen to bad advice, because we haven't recognized there's a difference between opinion and truth. And of course, most importantly, your soul. The implications of the false beliefs that we carry, from which we get the bad opinions that we project as our shapes and colors, ruling our own life and soul with bad advice, causing a lack of excellence within our soul, will end in our own tragic death or demise. And maybe even, depending on what the level of injustice that you've been living because of your false beliefs you haven't examined, maybe even the dissolution of your soul completely. That would require us to understand what happens when we die and the nature of reincarnation, which is in the Phaedo, but he said there are some souls that are unsavable. I don't know if that's true, but at least we do know that we can have more positive or less positive kinds of death. And again, this is all we covered a lot of this in the Socrates and Jesus, a Dialogue in Heaven book that we just finished. The light of knowledge or being that we participate in when we die, and how that affects our reincarnations positively or negatively. But even before going into how it affects the survival of your soul in multiple reincarnations, we can recognize it. The false beliefs and bad advice people listen to in their lives can cause their own death, even in a single lifetime. So, Harry's still not able to judge at this stage. One more step. You can't say that some groups function with more or less excellence, but can you recognize that some groups survive and some don't? That's where we are in the text. All right. So the art of governing depends on being able to distinguish good advice from bad. Some advice is poor and mistakes are made. So the advice could be advantageous or harmful. Oh, and we're also exploring the idea whether knowledge is a matter of perception, because you can't see. All of this advice is about the future. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. That's why you have advisors. So it can't be a matter of perception if you can't physically perceive it right now. So while different groups may have different goals, there seems to be there is a sameness in the way we judge good advice from bad advice, allowing us to function better or develop excellence. And therefore, as a result of this excellence or lack of excellence, some groups survive and some perish based on that advice. Harry responds. Unpause. Survival. So Joseph asks, damn it. Joseph, don't you think some groups survive because they have acted upon the advice that allowed them to survive rather than perish? Isn't that better advice? Can you see yet that there is a difference between good and bad advice? Harry, survival? They survived because they believed in the advice and acted upon it. That's all. It's just a matter of belief. And then, does that have to do with what's going on around them? So he's adding some more object permanence. This idea that, well, if you believe it, then it's true. But what about the rest of the world? You can be given bad advice that won't allow you to survive within the environment you're in. You know what they say, don't you? It's the power of positive thinking that makes things happen. Well, maybe not always, but there are enough of us who see it. Well, would you say that whatever anyone believes will come to pass must come to pass, simply because at some moment it seems true to them, to whom it seems true? Well, maybe. Then consider another thing, Harry. If it were important for you to determine whether the information or advice you received was sound, wouldn't you want to discover the truth of the matter for yourself? How would you discover the truth of the matter for yourself? Maybe. Whoops, sit down. Joseph. Maybe. Oh, hang on. I'm gonna sneeze. Maybe, but in the end, we can only accept what we believe, right? Wouldn't you say that if you believed in something strongly, that believing would make it so? Indeed, there are some men and institutions who seem to be shielded from criticism, even though they continue advising us and warning us about their belief of an impending inevitable catastrophe. And then, rather than abandoning the belief when the event fails to occur, they still insist it will occur sometime in the near future. We call that moving the goalposts. Now, it certainly seemed true to them that it was or will be inevitable. They can't give up the belief for every moment and circumstance. They believe it will be true, yet it never has been true. So in what sense is your position like theirs? So a different way of encouraging Harry's reflection. Have you noticed these people who say, like Paul, Armageddon, the rapture and all that, the world will end within Paul's lifetime 2,000 years ago? And it didn't. And then Christians have been saying it every single generation. The end is near. And they believe it, even to this day. Because not enough people believe in what they believe in. So he's saying, look at these people who you can see are tied to a false belief that won't change with evidence and reason. And they never change their belief, they just keep changing the prediction. Every moment it seemed true, so this idea of positive thinking, if you believe it hard enough it will come true, hasn't worked. This is another technique. You might not be able to reflect on your own beliefs and how you're functioning to not question this false belief that you're carrying, but instead move the goalposts. Oh, well, everything is belief, but okay, but not science. Oh, okay, but not flying a plane. Oh, okay, but not math. Oh, okay, politics and religion. But don't some political or religious groups get bad advice and fail? Oh no, that's because they don't believe enough. So it's difficult to see our own personal beliefs and how they are functioning. That's why we need dream analysis and the dialectic of philosophical midwifery. Absolutely necessary for us as human beings. But one example is, well, if you can see them doing it, how is it relating to what you're doing here? So in what sense is your position like theirs? Harry. I'm not sure where this is going. See? The functioning of belief to sabotage reasoned reflection following a guide or dialectician. Oh, I don't see where this is going, so I'm pulling the pin on this. His belief is functioning to sabotage understanding. Say, Joseph, why don't you include Aaliyah in the talk? See, we have to navigate this. Belief functions to oppose the very thing that he needs and benefits from. So here he is sabotaging himself. Aaliyah. Just when I was getting to enjoy this, you pull out. I'll tell you what I do think, Joseph. There still might be something in what Harry says, though not as much as he believes. But I came along to hear how you'd answer Harry's charges, and now it looks like I'm about to be pulled in. So it looks like Aaliyah is some sort of mean or middle ground between the two. Hey, yeah, says Harry. Joseph, what's going on here? You've turned the tables around. You were going to tell us what has been happening around here. And now look at this. You have us defending our views while you get off the hook. Perhaps, but remember the Greeks' challenge that we can't understand unless we see through a belief and give up the belief or the one that blocks us from understanding. Well, Harry, what belief do you think it is? What belief do you think it is? Are we seeing more about why we have to give up a belief in order to participate in understanding? Seeing more about what belief is and how it functions? You've got to be kidding. Yes, this belief of yours is the same belief that dominates not only your mind, but many others as well. It's this belief we are discussing that keeps us from appreciating and utilizing the furthermost reach of the intellect. So a very common belief that we're after and blocks us from appreciating and utilizing the furthermost reach of our minds. So them's the stakes of this belief that we're looking for. I don't know if I'm going to like this or not. You may think I'm defending some position, but I don't believe so. I just hold that there are no real positions in philosophy, only naive commitments to absurdities. You might be able to argue better than I do, but that doesn't mean a damn thing, because I'll walk away believing what I've always believed, and so will you. I think that's called
Debate pervert.
being a debate pervert.
Debate pervert. Debate weirdo. Debate dweeb. Pervert. Let's be honest.
Fucking bitch, pussy ass, fucker.
So in a belief, you come in with the belief, in a debate, you come in with the belief that you are, by the way, this is how they teach us to think in our school, which makes you wonder, I wonder what are the implications of allowing religion to exist? Emperor Justinian shutting down the Platonic academies where we learnt dialectic and allowing millions of people to die because understanding of medicine was outlawed. They had to do whatever the religious authority figures said, and you couldn't read the book for yourself. You'd be murdered on the spot if you had a book, had the Bible, but that Bible is telling you how to live. And if this model of learning, professing the faith as an authority figure preaching from a pulpit like we have at universities today that teach us not dialectic but debate, I wonder if that will have any negative implications even thousands of years later in our culture. If our entire educational system is built on this kind of sadistic ignorance. Hey, but I don't want to be rude and say this is a problem with belief in religion. That would be unpious. Which is ridiculous, and it's the sort of thing you might expect said in the 70s. Well, you can't question your boss. Women questioning the patriarchy, that's just unladylike. That's impolite. Talking about the nature of religion or politics, well, not in this stream. Hey, how many content creators today are starting to speak up about the fact that belief-based groups are exploiting and murdering all of us and our children for fun and profit? Just so a few billionaire families can treat this whole world like a sadistic playground. Lots more are waking up. And those who aren't are being challenged by those who are. So maybe there's hope for us. Not hope. Maybe there's a way forward. So we teach debate, which is you come in with a belief, you defend it to the death. And your success is using tricks of language, irregardless of whether your belief is true or not, to win the competition. Oh, competition again. That's so good for housing. Oh, no, it's not. Competition, it's good for innovation. No, it's not. It's the exact opposite. The billionaires are killing people who innovate in a way that will challenge their profits. Oh, shit. Helps us innovate with products. Oh no, products are designed to fail, so you buy more products. Oh shit. Competition isn't really good. For healthcare. No, it's not good for healthcare either. Politics. Yes, compete for resources and murder people and no, it's not good. Jeez, this competition thing seems to be pretty fucked. No competition in dialectic. No competition in truth. Everyone can participate in understanding. Everyone can participate in truth. It's transpersonal. It's
a win-win-win-win-win-win.
It's a win-win. So, you come in with the beliefs, you don't give two shits about whether or not they're true. Your idea is to win a competition, and you walk away even more entrenched in the beliefs you walked in with because you've been forced to defend them. And now you've been trained to think that anyone who challenges your belief is an enemy and opposes your success, because if they win, you lose. Who else thinks that way? The Jews doing a genocide in Palestine. The MAGA trying to hurt the libs. If they have success and provide universal healthcare or universal income equality or universal food, then we lose. That's fucked. Doesn't make any sense. That's the training of belief through debate. Another person's success in business, in debate, in whatever, means your failure. It's fundamentally sick. Think about it if it was your body. The healthiness of your heart means your spleen will suffer. Your spleen can only be number 1 if your heart is number 0 or whatever. Number 1, America, number 1, all that shit. The Jews, number 1. The Christians, number 1. The Mormons with their magic underpants, number 1. Bullshit. God wants us to be in charge. Bullshit. Your heart being healthy helps your spleen be healthy, helps your lungs be healthy. This is what we're here to learn as human beings. It's not competition. Everyone wins with health and excellence. But Harry is demonstrating that I doubt even this conversation, even reasoned reflection, even philosophy itself. Because if I think everything is a matter of belief, then there's no point. This is nihilism. To understand these different positions, you can take what we're learning here and recognize there are... Oh, there's my pen. What we're seeing is there are different cognitive functions. People think through image thinking. And by the way, the source of their images are their own personal beliefs. We call this ignorance. What we are learning right now is to move from beliefs into understanding. That is higher. You can understand beliefs. You can understand the source of your images. And we're seeing that beliefs and image thinking fight violently against understanding, just as Harry is in this conversation. Now, while image thinking is a result of beliefs, the source of understanding, all of this structure we've been looking at, the dialectic structure, and the key terms, talking about benefit, talking about truth, talking about goodness, understanding whole and part, all of these key words that are experienced in our physical world as adjectives but have a selfhood somewhere else as nouns, that's called knowing, with a capital N. Or we might use the word nous, because some people think knowing is about a physical thing. What do you mean, Nitro? Are you interrupting something? What can you say more about your thought? Nous, knowing itself. Understanding, dianoia. We call the two of these wisdom. So the model upon which understanding is derived, you're reading chat. The last chatter was a spam bot. What do you think about what we're reading together in the text? Might be more interesting. And of course, like we say, it's not a meaningful activity unless ultimately we are seeking the self. What we're learning to do is explore an idea that is true for all. So these things here, this area here, transpersonal, while ignorance or beliefs and image thinking are personal. I always take time for mind over heart, most of the times here in your stream. Okay. Is anything jumping out at you from what we're exploring? Anything interesting? What's got your mind puzzled? So what we're doing is learning how to follow reasoned reflection, or the use of ousia and logos. By the way, you can use that word ousia to talk about knowing, because that's the experience of mind knowing itself. You could talk about logos and the activity of dianoia. We're making use of our capacity for self-reflection and language to traverse through ignorance and reach wisdom, and maybe even ask questions about the self. But there are certain positions people can hold that oppose this development. And they're stuck. A kind of belief that causes certain image thinking that keeps them blocked from the development of understanding to reach knowing and go all the way to ultimately know and show the self. Well, we recognize that beliefs and image thinking we can get from we can recognize beliefs are the model or the ousia, the whole or the model that we infer from our physical existence, the physical world. And its functioning, its activity, or the parts from the whole, we've been talking about as our projection, our interpretation, the functioning of beliefs to block our development. From the physical world or perception. So this is Harry saying if all truth is a matter of perception, he is definitionally always going to be within the personal, so his language will be personal. Hey, that's your opinion, Harry. It's your opinion, Joseph. Well, you may come to that conclusion. Who is to say what's right and wrong? Not what is to say what's right and wrong. The transpersonal we call mind. So that's what we've been talking about here. What was it? What was the line? Belief. If belief dominates your mind, it will keep you from appreciating and utilizing the furthermost reach of the intellect. This is called the mind, or the realm of being, because it's existing. It doesn't change and decay like the physical world, or the intellect. So what he's saying we can recognize on this map, if you are tied to your own personal beliefs, which cause your image thinking, which functions in opposition to your, which is what we call ignorance, that you learned from your physical world experiences or perception, it blocks your participation in the intellect or crossing this line from ignorance to wisdom, crossing the ignorance to wisdom line. This is what he's talking about when he says participating in intellect in the chat. I'm considering whether it's okay to be ignorant. Ignorant is bliss. That doesn't make any sense. Bliss is the highest peak experience, which would be the highest use of the intellect. What do you mean by ignorance is bliss? When you know too much, you may be considered a threat. Yes, the parts of your soul that block your participation in your own intellect and self will be threatened by your participation in your highest excellence. And that's true for a species. Our current human species, so long as we allow belief to rule not just our soul, but our society and our religions, those who are more developed will be considered a threat by the stupid. Yep. They killed Socrates after all. When you know too little, you may not survive. Yes. Where is the sweet spot? Is there one? Good question. How much of your own life's purpose, meaning, excellence, and removal of your problems, how much of everything good that you are here to experience are you willing to sacrifice for the ignorance of others. Because the stupid might not like you being good and happy. Right? Short people might not like you being tall. How much of your leg are you willing to cut off? So these short don't get upset with your height. Hey, fat people might not like you being fit. How much of your health are you willing to sacrifice for the ignorance of other people who are tied to their ignorance? It's a good question to ask. So we can recognize knowing is that bliss or beauty or justice or the whole. Different color or color? Let's go here. No. No, not that color. This one. The whole or the model is knowing, and the parts or the activity based on that model or functioning, the definition and demonstration, you could say. And of course we have the self. That we're most interested in. And we can wonder about if there's a knowing. And by the way, this is the question. These were the questions that we were left with at the end of the book we just finished. What's the knowing of the self? Is there a whole and part of self? Is there an ousia and logos of self, or is it just one thing? You might also recognize that these as the 5 positive hypotheses of Parmenides. Parmenides was asked by Socrates to describe the self, to demonstrate the dialectic. Because Parmenides said, hey, this dialectic that we've been talking about, if you don't master it, you will never reach truth. And by the way, as you learn the dialectic to reach truth, you have to be on guard for any belief that says there is no truth. Because even if you're talking to the greatest dialectician who can reason you step by step through these ideas, if you still fundamentally believe you can't know truth, it won't affect you. So long as you're a debate dweeb, pervert, and you are loyal to your beliefs that you don't even know you're carrying, even the greatest master of understanding won't make any difference. Or as the Oracle says,
People don't logic their way into stupid positions. They stupid their way into stupid positions.
and
Personality maxing requires,
No.
I'm always good.
no.
The problem is that you can't reason someone out of a position that they didn't reason themselves into.
So if beliefs didn't come to us by reasoning, but by some dope soundtrack, yes, it's Greek tavern restaurant music, because we're at a Greek restaurant and cafe. See the background. That's what it looks like from the front. Dun, dun, dun. Here we are inside. I don't know why it does a little jig thing. So even Parmenides in the book, the Parmenides, and if you want to read that, it's called the find the Balboa translation. Your beliefs will prevent you. So this very thing that this mysterious Greek person in this restaurant told our friends, hey, if you don't get rid of a certain belief, you won't be able to engage in understanding. Parmenides said the same thing, but he said if you don't get rid of a certain belief, you won't participate in knowing. Which is, of course, what understanding leads to as well. So this can help us make sense of what what Joseph is talking about. Beliefs prevent us from appreciating and utilizing our intellect, crossing the line from ignorance to wisdom, participating in understanding and knowing the intellect. Now, if you wanted to have a simple model for all of the different kinds of beliefs that block us, you can take these positions that we have here, these 5 hypotheses of Parmenides, because Parmenides says this is the self, and if you're not happy with this is self knowing itself as pure luminosity, or nous, knowing. This is the functioning of that knowing. And by the way, there are some people who get trapped in the imitation or the shadow of knowing. That's belief. And the shadow of understanding is image thinking. So those are the 5 possible positions you can have. But there can be different classes of belief. Color. That oppose any one of them. So the kinds of belief that have to function to oppose your development have to oppose you moving through these different phases. If we have to free ourselves from our false images that we're projecting, like Harry is, you won't be able to do that if you think there is no such thing as images. If we have to go through this activity in a cafe with our friends to explore ideas, if you think there is no such thing as a meaningful activity, you won't be able to do it. If you're opposed to there being any physical world parts or meaningful activity in any way, that's called nihilism. There is no meaningful activity because there are no parts. Everything is delusion. That's called nihilism. And you can represent that with an image. There's a rock, but there's not even a rock. So we put the Ghostbusters symbol over that rock. There are no rocks. Nihilism. That can block you from your development. You're blocked at stage 1. Why even talk to someone like Joseph? Hey, like our friend Nitro. Why even listen to the questions that I asked him today? There's no meaningful activity. Claims that ignorance is bliss, so why would he even answer my questions? Could be talking to Socrates himself, more interested in his own personal ignorance. And said so. Alright. Nihilism. Now, you might say, okay, there are some meaningful activities, okay, sure. And there may be rocks, but that's all there are. There's only rocks. There's no meaningful whole in the physical world. There is no whole of beliefs that give rise to our images, like the image that ignorance is great. If I think that, there's surely no source that I can examine with a dialectician to surface my unsuspected false beliefs that prevent me from appreciating and utilizing the height of my own intellect. It's all just chemicals. It's just meaningless chemicals, and every good experience is just serotonin. That's called materialism. There are only parts. And reductionism. You can reduce any meaningful experience into its smallest components. Beauty is just endorphins. A Rembrandt painting is just $5 of paint on a $10 canvas, nothing more. Reductionism. And that image is a rock. We're all just rocks. So these are 2 categories of belief that prevent what we're talking about. Following questions in a meaningful, engaged in a meaningful activity, reflecting on the whole of our problems or the whole of our excellence. The two things we're here to do. There's two things you can use the dialectic for to do. To explore the nature of your blocks or problems. Or explore the nature of the excellence that you're here to reach, including the height of your intellect. Now let's say you're okay with there being wholes and parts in the physical world, but there's no meaningful activity in the mind. I'm okay with there being mind, but there's no meaningful activity. So everything is just, so this understanding, the very thing that we are here to master and make use of for our benefit, doesn't exist. There's no hierarchical level of development. If Harry wants to believe whatever bullshit, that's the same as whatever understanding Joseph has, or whatever wisdom Socrates has, or whatever knowing of the self that we can reach. It's all the same. And really, our problems that we face in our physical world are caused by some battleground between good forces and bad forces. And they're equal and they're opposite. There's no hierarchical development. There's no providential care from the self or from our dreams or from our thoughts. Everything is illusion. Just do a meditation and watch them float away like clouds. There's no functioning providentially from a dialectician. So, again, no need for our friend Nitro here to listen to anything I say, because what benefit could he get? No benefit. I have my opinions, he has his, and his are just as valid as mine. No one is better. That's the worldview that we're looking at currently. Everything is relative. There may be opinions and perspectives, but that's all they are. And the best you can do is pick the right team. Team sports, competition. We could call that it's all relative. That's also the worldview of the Abrahamic religions. The world is a battleground between the forces of evil and the forces of good. Within your soul, hey, if you have problems, it's because you're just a bad person sometimes. It's your shadow side. It's because you're a sinner. Because the devil made you do it. There is no connections. The best you can do is defeat the bad team, which is why we are facing Armageddon as a species. We have these belief-based groups, political and religious, who are seeking to genocide, blow up, exploit, enslave, destroy, steal from all other teams that are not their team. Everything is relative, equal and opposite. There's no higher truth or understanding. So that's a kind of belief that is defined by an opposition to understanding. Does this help us answer the question why Harry has to let go of a certain belief in order to participate in understanding, if that belief, it's all relative, or the Abrahamic, sometimes called the Zoroastrian, because some people say, well, actually before the Abrahamics used it to justify their exploitation of the people by saying, oh, if you don't listen to me, you go to hell. They call that Zoroastrian. There's a philosopher called Zoroaster who thought this way as well. Let's give it a different color so we can see that all of these are ways of understanding the same worldview. So maybe you're okay with there being meaningful activities you can participate in. And they're parts existing in it. We're not just all in delusion. We're not in the Matrix or Maya. It's not all illusion. Maya is a fancy word that means everything is illusion. Maya. You're okay with there being holes. So you're not a materialist or reductionist. So you can explore ideas. Or there is a force beyond the physical world. It's not all just rocks. Hey, maybe you're not this. Maybe you think there is understanding. You're not a fascist religious person or a fascist MAGA person or a fascist Nazi saying everything is a matter of opinion and belief, and the best thing you can do is pick a side and scam people to think that you're a knower. There is actually truth and understanding. But the last thing that you can be opposed to before the self is there is definitely not a transpersonal model of the whole of reality. There's not a whole of mind that is the same for all intelligence. When humans have intelligence, it's not because we're participating in a transpersonal, universal model or whole of intelligence. And understanding definitely doesn't have a transpersonal, non-physical model that we can apprehend that we call nous or knowing. The best we can do is pick a team. Not pick a team. Invent an ism. So find a way of creating your own whole. Nazism, socialism, capitalism, whatever ism. So the isms. And the image for that is Mickey Mouse. Why? Well, Mickey Mouse has some rationality behind him. There are certain things he can say and certain things he won't say. But it's not real. We just made it up. And just as this development through our cognitive functions, through dialectic, the logos following the logos, is all in order for us to return to self with a mastery of the so we could have a self-knowing or ousia and reaching it via the self-logos. So all of these key ideas and structures within the dialectic we call following the self-logos. In principle, you may be able to reach knowing by addressing the specifics, your specific personal beliefs, whatever one of them happens to be. And you're not just in one. You may move in and out of these different ones. They're states of mind. But the principle that we have to understand that opposes there being a self, for instance, our friend Nitro is thinking, well, why even explore these ideas? What's the point? What's the point? It takes courage, it takes patience, it takes character, it takes reading to learn what we're talking about here. To know the self. That's beyond even the peak experience, beyond even time itself. You won't be seeking the self if you already think you know the self. That's the issue, that's the human problem. So every one of these false beliefs are not just beliefs about reality. They're beliefs about reality and how you participate, so how you function in the world and your state of mind. But also, every single one of them is the self. Not only is nihilism that there's no meaningful activities, and there are no parts in the physical world. It's all illusion. If that's your worldview, that's also how you think of the self. So the next step is recognizing that in principle, all of these categories of false belief that you've been exploring in order to reach the peak of intellect also apply to what you think of as you, as what is the thing that's experiencing this state, these levels of development. And until you recognize that it's not just a belief about the world and a state of mind, it's an unsuspected false image of yourself that you're identified with, you won't be able to make the transition. Let's increase these lines. Not from ignorance to wisdom, but from wisdom to the self. Not quite there. Yeah. So not crossing the green line, which we're encouraging Harry to do. But even those who have reached the highest peak of bliss, as our friend Nitro was wondering about, but moving from there, to know the self. How can you know the self and recognize its self-logos if you are carrying a false image of your own self that opposes it? So the pathologos opposes the self, and if it's the leading term, if all of this is following the self-logos back to the self, then all of these fundamental false beliefs that oppose the existence of or the participation in these stages of development are all aspects within the pathologos. We can therefore understand the nature of the pathologos as the cause of all human problems. Meaning the two things we're here to do would be to perfect or master the self-logos and purify, or in the language of the text, give up. Not just a specific belief, but belief itself of the self. Give up the pathologos. That would be the two things we're here to do, and the activity to do both is, of course, the dialectic. So, as Harry is talking about, hey, if we have a conversation, it's pointless, because all we're going to do is walk out of the conversation holding the same beliefs that we came in with. That's debate. That's our education system. That's the consequences of allowing belief to rule our soul or our society or our spirituality. Because that's our education system that teaches us debate instead of dialectic. So yes, everything is pointless. Just allow the absolute worst members of your species or the worst aspects of your soul to guide you to tragedy, suffering, disaster, and extinction. That's the consequences of debate.
Perverts. Let's be honest, perverts.
Debate pervert.
Debate pervert.
That's right.
Debate dweeb.
Whereas, in order to perfect or master the self-logos, you use or purify or give up your pathologos. That's the role of the dialectic. Therefore, the meaning of life can be understood as one term, the dialectic, which has two applications, the perfection and mastery of the self-logos and the purification or the giving up of the pathologos, beliefs. So you could say the mastering of understanding and the giving up of belief-based thinking required for you to make this transition from beliefs into understanding, but also you need that dialectic to move from even knowing to our ultimate goal of self. So that's a map that we came up with as a result of that last book that I encourage you to check out as well. Close to 200 eps, but worth going through. Socrates and Jesus, a Dialogue in Heaven. But it's also just the Parmenides. The 9 hypotheses of Parmenides with the one that he missed out added in. That's the 10th, the pathologos. So that's what nihilism is. The lowest, there's no meaningful activity, there's not even parts. No rocks. Materialism, reductionism, there's only rocks. It's all relative. The key belief of this book, or the Abrahamic or Zoroastrian, hey, all beliefs and opinions and reasoning is equal and opposite. They don't ever come together. It's all just a fight between the good team and the bad team. Competition. And of course, isms. You're okay with understanding, but you think the whole that unifies the whole of mind, or the unity, because this ousia is the knowing of the whole, but it's also oneness or unity. Goodness. Or our benefit. And the truth or reality. What's real? So the oneness of understanding that we can have of our society, or the goodness that we can create as our benefit within our society or within our soul, or the truth that our society needs to be harmonized in alignment to, or our soul needs to be harmonized, giving rise to the excellence of groups that was mentioned, isn't something that has a model that exists eternally in mind that we can know. No. It's something that we make up ourselves. We can invent our own meaningful whole. We can invent our own unity. We can invent our own goodness or benefit. It's whatever you want it to be. Mickey Mouse. It's not real. Mickey Mouse isn't real. It can be whatever you want it to be, but we will define what he can do, what he will say. There is a rationality that we will define for Mickey Mouse. Some things he will never do, some things he will do. So these are the 4 categories of ignorance. All of which, so just as Joseph has said in the book, whoops. While each group has different goals, different specific goals, different specific beliefs about their goodness or unity or excellence or reality or truth, there is a singular way of judging that all groups use to determine good advice from bad advice. Similarly, while there are different groups, family groups, or groups of ignorance that human beings can have, nihilism or reductionism, materialism, or it's all relative, or Abrahamic or Zoroastrian, or the fourth isms or Mickey Mouse, there is a singular universal principle that they all use. They are all fundamentally from an idea of self and lead back to, as Harry's just said, walking away from your lifetime experiences or your life itself, more entrenched in that false idea of the self that you've been reincarnated to address. Everything is from the pathologos in these four categories of ignorance and returning to in this four categories of ignorance, meaning an unexamined life ain't worth living if you're just going to become more entrenched in your problem. As Harry, look at him smugly defending his ignorance. This one, seventh, the most common and the most dangerous because it opposes understanding. As smug as he is to act in this unjust way, he walks away more entrenched. Why live that life, spending it more entrenched in an injustice and an ignorance and a harm? Equally so, all of these cognitive functions are from the self, or the self-logos, and are returned to the self as its goal, allowing us to know the self or recognize the self in a way that's beyond experience of intellect, or beyond experience itself, but also recognize the logos within it, even though it's something beyond experience. It has to be because it's the cause of experience. So two fundamental lines. And by the way, at the end of the text we were reading, we could recognize this transition from ignorance and wisdom and the stages human beings go through, we recognized as the ox-herding pictures of Zen Buddhism. And we had to add or improve on the tradition in the sequel that the readers are encouraged to write the sequel to that book, to create what we are calling the Lama herding pictures, to go from even intellect to the cause of intellect, or what experiences intellect, what experiences experience. Sight opening itself up to see itself as the self. Crossing the purple line, you could call it. Crossing the green line and crossing the purple line. So if you're curious about what the different worldviews are, here they are. Basically four. And these are the four kinds of ignorance or beliefs in image thinking that oppose transitioning to here or transitioning to here. So, if the it's all relative belief opposes understanding, could that be more clues as to why this person said you have to give up or see through a certain belief if you want to participate meaningfully in understanding, and elevate your conversation from nonsense and mockery and silliness to fun but of a higher standard? Something to wonder about. Okay. So, with that in our back pocket, you're welcome for giving that little review. There's a certain, We have to see through a belief and give up the one that blocks us from understanding. It's all relative, maybe. The same belief that dominates not only your mind, but many others as well. It's this belief that we are discussing. So yes, I didn't see this the first time, but having gone through that review, it has become clear. This particular one we're discussing keeps us from appreciating and utilizing the furthermost reach of the intellect, or crossing the green line from wisdom to intellect, from ignorance to intellect, or wisdom. Now Harry says, I don't like this because I think that I'm not actually defending I don't have a personal belief, so I'm saying there are no real positions in philosophy. Only naive commitments to absurdities. So nihilism would be rejecting any activity existing, or meaningful activity existing, or any part. But not rejecting that. Materialism would be rejecting any whole in the physical world. He's not rejecting that. He's rejecting understanding by saying it's all relative. There are positions, but it's just a matter of opinion. I'm not saying mind doesn't exist like the materialists or the reductionists. I'm saying that there's no grounding of understanding that's transpersonal and true. You may be able to argue better than I do. See, he's using his life experiences of debate. Modern education. Philodoxia. Modern philosophers are philodoxias, not love of wisdom. If wisdom is crossing, you have to have crossed this green line or be interested in crossing this green line from beliefs and images that are personal to wisdom, which is transpersonal, and the intellect. If that's wisdom, and philosophy literally means philosophia, a love of wisdom. If you're not doing this, what we're doing here, you're not a philosopher. You are a philodoxia, a love of opinions. That's modern academia. Academic philosophers are that. Says Socrates in the book we read last time. But also, you can see it yourself. So it's all just a matter of debating for your opinions. And go to college, get a PhD to add more weight to your image. So you can point to that PhD and say, therefore my opinions are so good. Quote Hegel and Nietzsche so you can justify your opinions. Again, it's just personal opinions. Or debate.
Debate, weirdo.
You may be able to argue better than I do, but that won't mean a damn thing, because I'll walk away believing whatever I already believed. The consequence of debate. Not just no development and no solving problems and no fulfilling your purpose. It's not neutral. You walk away more entrenched in your ignorance. That's why the meaning of life isn't just, an option. You're either doing this, mastering the dialectic of the self-logos and seeking to uncover and remove your false beliefs, or you're doing the opposite. You're spending your life attacking understanding and becoming more entrenched in your ignorance. There's no neutral ground. You're either ethical or unethical, moral or immoral. You're either belief or understanding. It's not. Anyway. That's why we have this channel. To give people an avenue to do the good thing. And have fun.
Where's the joy? Where's the whimsy? Where's the childlike?
And we have joy and whimsy and childlike wonder as we participate meaningfully. So that's Harry's idea. Aaliyah jumps in. Welcome back, Aaliyah. Let me ask you something, Harry, if you don't mind a question or two. Ask, my dear. Oh, so I guess they are dating, maybe. Boo. Boo. Aaliyah is too good for you, dirty Harry.
Dumbass.
Sorry, that was not a very good joke.
Absolutely gooped.
I'm sorry. All right. Ask away, my dear. Ask anything at all. Harry, isn't believing in Christianity or any religion believing that one view is better than another? More than that, isn't believing in something admitting that it is better to have something to believe in than nothing? Ah. So, this view of all beliefs are equal requires you to give up your faculty of judgment. And she is saying, hey, if you pick a religion, aren't you judging that as better? So better or worse does exist. Notice all of these fascists in our world have to sabotage good and bad, right and wrong. Hey, bombing a girls' school in Iran, that's good, because who gives a shit? Hey, genocide, that's good. Capitalism, yeah, make billionaires richer and cause people to suffer and die because they can't afford the basic necessities of life. That's not bad, because there is no bad. Look at this graph from an economist. Oh, GDP, the Dow is going up. The human conflict is a war against mind itself. The fascists only win within our society and our soul when we do not judge good from bad. Conservatism is just as good as progressive. Bullshit. That's not an opinion, that's just a lie. See how harmful this it's all relative is? So, clever Aaliyah is saying
That's weird that you think that.
that it's weird that he thinks that. By saying, hey, you know what, you do judge. Because even if you pick a religion or a belief, that's still a kind of judgment. Because believing in one religion is saying that's better than the others. And, more than that, even if you want to weasel out of that, Mr. Harry, you're saying that having a religion is better than not having a religion. And as we're saying, if we want to sacrifice belief for understanding, that may be fundamentally false. If understanding, knowing, and the self-logos is transpersonal or beyond belief, why have beliefs at all? Isn't believing in something better than admitting that it's better to have something to believe in than nothing? So hey, even you defending belief in religion, isn't that a kind of judgment? Can we say, oh, we shouldn't judge religion, it's all equal. Yeah, it's all equal. Hey, women suck because of what the Muslims say. Women suck because of what the Jews say. Women suck because of what the Christians say. It's all the same, so long as we accept that women suck. And we shouldn't say anything bad about religion, because everything is nothing and it's all a matter of personal opinion. And how dare you say that we shouldn't teach women that they suck? Fuck you. Fuck me, fuck you. Oh no, but you are judging. Because you're saying religion is okay, better than not having religion anymore within society or within yourself. And if you happen to pick one yourself, you're saying that one's the best one. What does that lead to? Holy wars, Armageddon, justification of abuse and murder, the extinction of our society. Very clever, Aaliyah.
Off the perky, call me Kirky.
Aaliyah's off the perky. We shall call her Kirky.
If you don't know, now you know.
And now you know.
Hubba hubba. I just want
Emma.
more testosterone to human body ratio, and I'll finally be satisfied.
Calm down, Emma.
Gooner.
That's being a gooner.
You can be a gooner.
But you can be a gooner. What does Harry say to that? What? Aaliyah, my dear, Whose side are you on? I thought you were only interested in going along with me, your man. What are you, a woman with thoughts and ideas? Challenging and asking questions? What is going on here? That's not very Christian of you. The Bible says women can be treated like cattle and sold in terrible ways and murdered for fun and profit. What is this? Having a mind of your own, says Harry. Some of those things I added. I thought you were only interested in going along with me.
Don't be disgusting.
Don't be disgusting.
It's a total shit show.
Exactly, Emma. Aaliyah says,
Oh my fuck.
Aaliyah says, I just thought of something, Harry. You care enough to strongly oppose Joseph's position. You get upset when your view that all is relative is challenged. Now, how can you reconcile that with your own position? How can you be bugged? It's all relative, isn't it? Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Aaliyah out here saying,
They're a weirdo. You should know that you need to quit living your current life and go start a new one as a minor. That is your life calling. You were not meant for socializing with other human beings. You were meant to get black lung.
oh my God. Aaliyah giving black lung to Harry. You should give up living and live in the mines. All right. How does Harry relate to that slam? Yes. It sure is. What? How can you be... So the thing is, you care enough to oppose a position. Number one. You get upset when your view is challenged. Number two. How can you be bugged? Isn't everything relative? And Harry says, Yes, it sure as hell is. So I'm relatively bugged about my relative position. So hot. It's your turn to get bugged, or to shut up. What?
I'm just asking.
Oh my goodness. Telling her to shut up.
Die mad about it, bitch.
You shut up.
I've been a bad little girl.
Hey,
You should know that you need to quit living your current life and go start a new one as a minor. That is your life calling. You were not meant for socializing with other human beings. You were meant to get black lung.
oh my goodness. So that's the sort of person Harry seems to be. Aaliyah responds, No, you stay in as long as you can. And I'll come in when I want. She will come when she wants to. Sorry.
You sick fuck.
Oh my goodness. It's not as easy as you thought, is it, Harry? Harry says, Well, I'm okay right now, so let's get on with it. Alright, so that's a nice break point. So what have we seen? We saw the question is, why did the mysterious man say you have to give up or see through a certain belief before you can participate in understanding? And unless you can participate in understanding with some sort of discipline, your relationships will just be, how did he say it? Unless, since you lack a certain discipline in your thinking and your use of words and reflection, it is unlikely you could ever rise above humor. Can you rise above humor into meaningful humor or meaningful relationships? Why is he saying you have to give up a certain key belief? Did the maps and the models we reflected on today help? Understanding the different worldviews people can have and how they function within ignorance and how they differ from... Because, by the way, while we can have these 4 fundamental worldviews, they are all within belief and image thinking as a cognitive function. Meaning there's only one worldview for understanding because it's transpersonal. Or as Joseph says, well, you may have specifics about your group. All groups use the same standard of understanding to judge whether or not the advice was good or bad. So if you are above the green line, interested in transpersonal truth and understanding, that's called being, well, philodianoia. While philosophy means love of wisdom, we want to use understanding to cross this line from ignorance to wisdom and cross this line from wisdom to self, both of which is dianoia, so philodianoia. You could call it being Hellenic, because that's what the Hellenic state of being is. You call it being Socratic, but maybe not, because Socratic is being stolen by these people to mean debate perverts.
Debate pervert.
So you call it the true way of being Homo sapien, man the thinker, or Hellenic, because Hellenic also addresses the pathologos that you have to do, so that's great. That's the model of Achilles in the Balboa translation of the Iliad. So all of these different isms, nihilism, objecting to meaningful parts and activities, reductionism, materialism, Abrahamic, Zoroastrian, or relativism, and isms as a whole, they're all beliefs. You move from the personal and the many into the one and transpersonal by crossing this line. Which would mean there's only one true position. Hellenic. Philodianoia, love of understanding. Or following the logos. Now you can recognize how far you've gotten by saying, I'm still dealing with my images. I'm still doing dream analysis and midwifery to find my images that I project or cause my blind spots. I'm still examining the beliefs and the history of my beliefs and trying to find the root cause of my beliefs. I'm still developing functioning as a dialectician to facilitate the question and answering of people to go through this removal of their beliefs and image thinking. And also to develop the dialectic as we've been doing today on the text, which allows us to reach knowing. You might say, I've had a glimpse of knowing, but I want to participate in it deeper. I want to understand more about it. I want to reflect on it with understanding. Or you might say, now I'm at the process of understanding even this peak experience of bliss or beauty or mind knowing itself as ousia or being. I want to understand that so I can cross the purple line. So these are stages, these are worldviews. That are to do with ignorance. Interesting? Make it simple. You only need 10 things to recognize our progression and the course of human problems. And if they have a captain of each team, it's only 5 members of the team, like a basketball team, and they have a captain, the self-logos or the pathologos. And it's the same art that deals with both. So are we seeing more about this question? Now, if someone else comes along and says, well, everything is a matter of opinion, everything is a matter of belief, what does it mean about that own position if you're saying that this position, that everything is relative, is a true position? How do you reconcile that with your position? That you care enough to defend. Notice, isn't it interesting? People who say everything is personal and relative in opinion and perspective, the times that they actually engage in a conversation is to attack understanding. They don't put anything forward. They can't say my view is better than any other view. They only use it selectively to attack their own benefit, their own intellect, crossing the green line. So Harry is only interested in shutting down Joseph. He has nothing good to say. That's why conservatives don't actually ever have a good position. They're always just, it's all grievance politics. Oh, but the Democrats. Oh, but the left want to do good things. Isn't that bad? Why? Because any idiot can say no. And he thinks that saying no is equal to saying yes. So someone who's too stupid to understand anything good can feel like he's just as intelligent as the other person, because if they're in this view that's all relative, then this good person who understands medicine is equal to this stupid MAGA idiot who says medicine is all a scam and vaccines cause autism. They're equal and opposite. So all you have to do is be a hater, to be negative, to object to understanding and what is good, what is true, what is real, what unifies our soul and reality. All you got to do is be a dick and you think you're just as smart as the experts. Which is why these people are being manipulated by fascists to go after government services, education, healthcare, everything good that the people need. No, you can be just as smart. Those experts think you're stupid, but you can show them by just saying no. That's the entire platform of MAGA, of right-wingers, of conservatism, of religion. They don't offer anything good. All they do is attack people doing good things. Why? Because you need to understand how to fix a car to do good to the car, but any believer can smash it with a sledgehammer. You have to understand your computer to fix a broken computer or improve it, but any moron can smash a computer. That's why when we allow belief to exist in politics or religion or anything, they only ever smash things. That's Harry. And here we even see Harry smashing his own relationship by telling someone who's better than him, more advanced than him, Aaliyah, to shut up. Listen to her. She's better. Smashing his own relationship. That's how belief functions. So it's not just a matter of human development through truth. No, it's not just a matter of development through truth. It's recognizing the human opposition and the 4 categories of opposition that define human ignorance and stupidity. And like our friend Nitro said today, hey, the further we develop on this ladder of progression, the more these jerks will try and fight you, or silence you, or ignore you, mock you, threaten you, exile you, or kick you out, or kill you. And his question is, how do I find a middle ground? And I asked him questions. Yeah, just, live your life according to the ignorance of the stupid. Or learn what we're doing here. How do we facilitate people's movement through truth while recognizing the nature of the human condition, the nature of all human problems is a war on mind, functioning through belief to oppose the dialectic. In other words, how can you master the dialectic as an art? The meaning of life, therefore, is the art of dialectic. To allow for our progression and movement through truth, finding good people out there, as rare birds as they may happen to be, in a forest of believers and ignorance and haters. Look for the good rare birds out there who do have a love of understanding and a good character. Find them, talk to them, develop, while also facilitating this reflection in an artful way, recognizing that humans are adverse to it, so long as they haven't gone through midwifery and dream analysis to surface and address their pathologos. That art of dialectic might be a better answer to your question, a better answer than offered, how do I be a little bit ignorant and a little bit understanding because of the objections that ignorant people have. Maybe develop an art. Maybe that's exactly what we're doing here. And if that is what we're doing here, how's Aaliyah doing? Using some humor, some sly jokes, because they seem to be in a relationship, about coming when she wants to, and him pulling out when she's starting to have fun, all this sort of stuff, to use humor and also embarrass him in a kind of way that encourages him to do better. So as women face, as we just mentioned earlier, women face all these difficulties because of the oppression of conservatism and religion against women. But how well is she doing encouraging her partner to do better, winning the battle without having to join a fight? Charm. Is that part of what we're here to learn? So, if you say everything is relative to a belief, opinion, and there's no real truth, why are you objecting to someone saying the opposite? Aren't you insisting a truth value of what you're saying? How can you reconcile that? Number one. Number two, if you're all about belief, pal, and you pick Christianity or any religion over another, isn't that a judgment to say that some beliefs are better? Isn't that a statement based on truth, or at least benefit? And if you're allowing for religion to exist at all, aren't you saying that belief is better than not belief? Make sense of that. And don't pull out when I don't want you to. So it seems like maybe Joseph and Aaliyah are working together in a fine way. What do you think of those questions? What do you think about how Joseph and Aaliyah are functioning? How can you compare it to Harry's functioning? I hope you've got a lot to think about. And speaking of dreams, how are your dreams going? Are you recording your dreams? Are you getting better at recording your dreams? Have you even had a look at a transcript of your dreams? If you record it straight away, you'll find it more accurate. Have you compared your memory of your dream from the original recording transcript? Have you noticed your memory might change? Does it change in a funny way? How does that change reflect your own beliefs that you may not be knowing you carry like Harry? Lots to wonder about. We're having a lot of fun, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you for joining me. Follow along on Twitch. You can join the Discord. You can donate to the channel. You can find a link to the PDF below. And I'll see you next time. And thanks for stopping in, friends.